Jolson from Zeal to Heal, and I'm so excited to continue the series called Good Reasons. And today we're going to be looking at the reliability of the Gospels. The reliability of the Gospels is so important as it needs to be in alignment with historical evidences, archaeological facts, and all the things around the Gospel timings, dates, and places that are mentioned in the Gospel. This will all determine its historical evidence and reliability. When looking at the reliability of any documents or manuscripts, number 1 is the Manuscript Test. Number 2 is the external test. And number 3 is the internal test. The Manuscript Test, it looks at other historical documents around the same time as the Gospels. So we can look at one manuscript called the Annals by Tacitus of AD 100. And in this manuscript, there were 20 copies that were found, and around AD 850, nearly 1,000 years after the originals. But all historical evidence and facts is accepted as reliable with this document. So when it comes to the Gospels and the reliability of the Gospel texts, we need to see that there are 5,000 different copies of fragments and of the New Testament and of the Gospels. And these were found only 300 years from the original, much earlier than the Roman works of the previous manuscripts called the Annals. The external test, we need to look at the dates, geography, the archaeological findings of that same period in Palestine about AD 1. And it needs to square up with what has been said in the Gospels. All archaeological findings confirm the Gospel's reliability, like Jacob's well at Sychar, Capernaum. All of these line up archaeologically with the Gospel's reliability. Through other extra manuscripts, biblical sources, like the Jewish Talmud, Josephus, and these need to collaborate with the Gospels, in which they do perfectly. This is allowing for external evidences of the Gospels, which makes it even more reliable. Which is number 3. We need to look at the similarities of the Gospels, and this allows and debunks any theory that these 4 different writers, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that they fabricated these stories alone. Because of the huge similarities of the Gospel, the different Gospel texts, it also shows with the apparent contradictions, there's also not a collective fabrication. This internal test enhances the reliability and validity of the historical evidence for the Gospels. There are 4 different accounts of the life of Christ. The authors too, they lacked wealth, they lacked fame, they were in persecution, they were martyred for their lives, and all this proves that they had nothing to gain other than to tell the truth, that they wouldn't lie, they wouldn't deceive, and they wouldn't fabricate stories under such extreme circumstances. The apparent contradictions that people get a little bit hung up about is in some Gospels. For example, in Mark 5, verse 28, the lady that had the issue of blood, that she said, which alludes to speaking out loud, that if she just touched the hem of his garment, she would be healed. And then the account in Matthew, chapter 9, verse 21, it says she spoke to herself. So which account is true? Did she speak it out loud, or did she speak to herself? The holistic story that all four Gospels present gives us the truth. In fact, she did both. She spoke to her heart inwardly, to herself, and she also confessed outwardly, verbally, with her mouth. This gives us a holistic picture of actually what happened in that account. So there are apparent contradictions. They're not really contradictions. In fact, they provide a full story for us to know the life of Christ. So I pray that this helps you, that this has been beneficial to know the gospel's reliability, because it's the power of the gospel that in believing the gospel that we are saved. I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation of all who believe. God bless you.